Ugh, I hate Mondays. Should get some lasagna. But first, it's showtime, folks. So, guys, welcome back to Chuco's Powerhouse Cinema. Today we're talking about the cinematic masterpiece that is the new Garfield movie. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I grew up with the dancing Bill Murray.
Watch out. You see, you can't touch this. Come on. That's right. Don't sneak up on me, baby. Oh, come on with that.
Garfield movie, and to be real, it wasn't the greatest. You know, we even get a couple of jokes here in newer movies that he might have regretted playing Garfield. But now, out with the old, in with the new. We've got the new and improved, revamped Garfield that's come out as a cartoon starring Chris Pratt and Samuel L. Jackson. So, guys, you know the deal. When it comes to an animated movie, I'm really not gonna tear into it too much because that's not fair. But even if that was the case, this one didn't have a lot to tear down, to be completely honest with you guys. I actually really enjoyed Garfield, and we're gonna get into some of the pros and some of the cons and just my general thoughts on it. But let's start off with the plot. So Garfield circles around the main character Garfield and his first adventure without his human John, who he claims to have adopted at this point, and reconnecting with his father who left him when he was a child or when he was a kitten. And that's where the story goes. And not, like I said, I don't like getting into spoilers, like I've said before, but that's basically the plot. What I really like about Garfield, and this is its first pro, is the storytelling element. Now, what Garfield does is use point of view. It uses Garfield's point of view, and it uses his father, Vic's point of view to illustrate similar portions of the story and carry it forward. But this is mainly told through Garfield's lens, his life through his experience and his adventure with Odie. And I really liked that for the movie. It does it well. It keeps engagement, at least for me. I mean, what does that say about me, a grown man watching Garfield and enjoying it? I mean, whatever. But it was fun, and I really enjoyed it. Another thing I really did enjoy is the emotional intro. I mean, it really gets you invested. Garfield does a very good job of getting you invested in the story because there's an emotional stake right out of the gate, and it's something that I really thought worked in its favor. Another pro that I have with this movie is the goofy jokes. There was a couple of jokes in there that actually had me chuckling and laughing, shaking my head just at how silly it was. And I think Garfield does that well, whether it be the heavy cat that doesn't fit on a scale or breaks a scale. I have myself a couple of dogs that might be on the hefty side, and it's always funny to see, you know, something like that depicted in a movie. And I really thought that worked. Another pro I had was the color scheme in Garfield. I really thought that Garfield did a pretty good job of the use of color. The animation style was something that I found refreshing. There was even a little bit of a mixture there. Every once in a while they threw in that comic book look, just to go back to its roots, because if you don't know, which I'm sure some of you do, but if you don't know, Garfield started off as a comic strip.
No, Garfield, the cable's out.
What's wrong with this thing?
Did you hear what I said? The cable's out.
Maybe it needs new batteries.
Garfield, listen to me carefully. The cable is out.
The cable's out?
And I think going back to its roots keeps people engaged, and they did that pretty well. Another thing I think Garfield does well is throwing some stuff in there for us adults. So if you take children to go see these movies, these animated movies, oftentimes you run into the problem where it's completely geared towards the younglings, you know what I mean? But in this situation, Garfield throws in a couple of things in there for the adults, and that's something that I feel like animated movies have not done well for a little while now. whether it be through references or just little silly things in there that are hidden. It makes it fun for everybody, and it makes it an entertaining movie for the entire family. For example, certain references that are in there are stuff from Top Gun, maybe even the Wolverine. I saw something from Pulp Fiction, stuff like that that maybe the younger audience wouldn't get, adults will. Even Meet the Parents, I think the villain's name is Jinx, and so if you've seen Meet the Parents, maybe you know what that's from. But there's a couple of things in there that are just for, you know, adult audiences that are snuck into the Garfield movie that make it engaging. Another pro I have is the chemistry between characters. So when you have Samuel L. Jackson and you have Chris Pratt, one of the biggest critiques I've heard so far, at least when it comes to Chris Pratt, is that he's just talking. It's just Chris Pratt talking. And to some extent that might be true. But what I did like in Garfield is that they engage with one another very well. Whether it be the two characters, whether it be Odie with Garfield, whether it be one of the newer characters, Jinx, with Samuel L. Jackson, all those things worked well together, and they were believable as friends, foes, family. And I think that was done exceptionally well. And my last pro for today is the cameos. It's specifically one cameo that I won't give away just in case you're planning on watching it, but there's somebody in there that made me like laugh out loud whenever I heard their voice, because it's a very distinctive voice and you know exactly who it is when you hear it. But there are fun cameos in Garfield, and there's also little educational cameos in there. There's a couple of times where you see John reading a book, and it's like The Great Gatsby, which is something that has its own movie and something that you should read. Probably most people read it in high school or whatever, but I digress. Talking about books when we're supposed to be talking about Garfield. Getting into the cons, like I said, I'm not gonna get too deep into the cons. When you go into watching Garfield, an animated movie, you know you're going in there for a cartoon. You're going in there to have a good time. So the only thing I'd really say is a con is that this is similar animation to other movies you've seen before. And it's not really gonna recreate the animation wheel. This isn't something that we're gonna say completely redefined the genre of animation. At least I don't think. It was funny, it's fun, but it's nothing completely new. And but for all that, I mean, that one little con, Garfield did its job. It did a very great job, and it was a fun experience. Now, here at Chuco's Power Cinema, it's almost always, I think it's always, we leave a rating for our movies. Like I said, guys, this is an animated movie. We're doing this based on an animated style movie. So when I give it my rating, I don't want to hear the scolding in the comments that you rated this lower than this and this higher than this. This is a different category completely. So what's the rambling? Stop the rambling. John, what is the score? Well, guess what? I'm going to give Garfield a 3.5 out of 5, or a 3 out of 5. And that is, do you feel lucky? And I have to ask, do you feel lucky? Because Garfield really relies on you knowing some of the tidbits from previous movies if you're an adult to enjoy it. But the comedy's there, and it's really engaging. The colors are good. The storytelling's very, very good. And it's one of those things where to be revamped as a franchise, especially coming off of the Bill Murray days, the ones that I grew up with, Garfield does a very, very good job. But, I mean, it's not really reinventing the wheel. It's not going to build a new horizon. So, 3 is good. I mean, they did a really good job. So, yeah, Garfield. Let's get some lasagna after this and, you know, power through it. Also, guys, if you're new to the channel, we appreciate if you like and share this video. Or if you feel so inclined, subscribe, because why not? It's free. You just click here or here or here. Click somewhere. You could just subscribe, you know. Or comment on the video. It really helps us grow, and we appreciate all the engagement. If you're new to the channel, we also have things called Power Picks. I'll put one somewhere up here. You can check them out at your leisure. But guys, before you subscribe or before you comment, always remember something my friend Miss Bettis used to say, and that's